It's about to be the worst thing you ever heard.
Cause my daddy taught me good.
She dared me.
I did not dare you.
Yes, you did.
Oh my God, my God.
I said get it out of your system.
I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Nothing Yet Live.
So,
Go ahead.
this is where we're at. In the last segment, you saw a monster who wanted to revel in the SCOTUS decision and believed that the hearing that he was in, I don't even know if it was a hearing, if it was a publicity, just an interview, he wanted to make it about the victory in the Supreme Court. He wanted to take a victory lap. So when he was asked, should a 12-year-old incest victim be an exception in the abortion ban, he said no. So I found this story this is from 2021. I don't know when this happened. It was in the New York Times. And the headline is, I was raped by my father. An abortion saved my life. It was early morning of my 10th birthday, the first time that I was raped by my father. It would not be the last.
All right, you know what? I'm out. Go ahead.
The shock was so severe that I temporarily went blind before I began the 5th grade a few weeks later. By the time the school year began, my father had taken me to see a battery of doctors. A medical explanation would paper over the fact that the trauma caused by his sexual violence had caused my body to shut down. The physiological suffering that I endured included severe migraines, hair loss, and even gray hair at 10 years old. Say what you said earlier.
Mic dropped?
No, you said her hair was...
shock white.
Yeah.
She was shocked.
White.
I've heard fables of said thing, and I've seen it in action. I know a chick that is aging in reverse. That she's like old, like way before her time. Check her out. She's a great drummer. Anyway.
My body became a vessel that was not mine. It had been taken from me. I lived in fear of the night and the footsteps outside my bedroom. Okay, this is where you tell me I'm a terrible producer.
Nah, it's my bad. I had the con.
My father's predations.
My father's predations were hidden behind wealth, social status, and is acting on the part of a committed and attentive parent. I attended elite schools in New York City, studied ballet at a renowned academy, and took private violin lessons and tennis lessons. How's bragging camp going? Sorry.
My father never missed a parent-teacher conference. However, that veneer of normalcy belied intimate family violence that began years before with his physical abuse of my mother. At times, he was so violent that she was
Wow.
hospitalized.
That's
At age 12, I was pregnant
all grown up, little lady.
by my father, and I had an abortion. Before we got to the doctor's office, I had no idea that I was pregnant. My father lied about my age and the circumstance of my pregnancy, informing the doctor that I was 15 and that I had been reckless with my boyfriend. My father shook his head, explaining to the doctor that he was doing all that he could as a single parent. My parents had divorced by this time, but that I was out of control.
Sorry.
Okay, that's a typo she wrote. Both men seemed to convey contempt toward me. For many years, the shame of my father's lie lingered with me, the stereotype embedded in the narrative of the risky, hypersexualized Black girl. My shame was never about the abortion. I will forever be grateful that my pregnancy was terminated. I'm fortunate that my body was spared an additional trauma imposed by my father, one that today would be forced by some state legislatures and courts. This was in November of 2021. So this woman is probably fucking triggered to the core.
Do you know why it's called Roe v. Wade?
One of the names is a pseudonym.
Like Doe.
Yeah.
But they already had a Doe on the docket.
Yeah, so that's why it was Roe. So it was for her privacy. No child should be pressured or expected to carry a pregnancy and give birth, or to feel remorse, guilt, doubt, or unease about an abortion under any circumstances, let alone rape or incest.
Hey, Fox News, you consider children 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
Ask Matt Gates.
Small children.
I was driving a car.
Okay, so scroll down. Scroll down.
All the way?
No.
Right there?
As a survivor of childhood rape and pregnancy, and today a law professor who teaches constitutional law and bioethics, good on her.
Bona fides?
I recognize the grave dangers of the current crop of abortion bans. In Texas, the right to an abortion is virtually meaningless under Senate Bill 8, which bans most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy, when many people will not know they are pregnant.
Dude, we let people stick swords down their throats. You ever seen that? Like, we let people do like batshit crazy stuff, and you're talking about like her not being able to do exactly whatever the fuck she wants with her body. Man, I have a problem with that. Like, that's just it. That's where I draw the line. And on this side of it, I guarantee you 90% of women are on board. The problem is the men.
So this is, it's not the final paragraph, but
I'm not even
this is the
look,
final
I'm not
paragraph.
even talking about like toxic masculinity or anything like that. It's just, the problem is just, how are you going to, like, at what point would I feel comfortable with exercising my gender power over you? Like, at what point would I be like, that's okay? Dude, I have to be like a savage.
But you're not sitting on the seat. You're not a seat on the Supreme Court. You're not making a decision that impacts me directly.
Remember, look, when they say shit, when they hand down a thing, it's the Supreme Court's opinion. So when they're handing down these rulings, it's just the opinion of 9 geriatrics, I guess, and a Comey Barrett and a fucking alcoholic. Right? That's what you guys got. You got 7 geriatrics, an alcoholic, and Amy Coney, and whatever.
So there's this presumption among those 6 that in their sphere, this sort of thing would never happen. If you were to ask, say, Alito, what would you do if this was your granddaughter? What if your granddaughter was raped when she was 12 by her brother and she got pregnant? What would his response be? You know what it would be? Not my family. That never happened in my family.
And yet it did.
Not in Alito's that we know of. But that would be the response. You ask any of them and you say, what if that happened in your family? And they would say that would never happen in my family.
Most women I've known have either had a DNC,
well, DNC,
a miscarriage,
a DNC doesn't mean an
abortion. But I'm saying, like, most women I've known have either had a DNC, an abortion, or
but a DNC is
spontaneous.
My mother had a DNC because she was bleeding profusely, because she was in menopause. Yeah, because she was, but that has nothing to do with this.
Dude, life had it in for your mom.
Yeah, it did. It really did. But my point is that it had nothing to do with her reproductive.
No.
There was
function.
no baby in there. There was no fetus in there. She just had hyperplasia or something. It was a menopause thing. They call it flooding.
Those are big woman words.
No, flooding is not a big woman word. It's when you bleed profusely because you have too much estrogen.
What do you think?
Pack
the courts? Can't even do it. Whatever. Like, I don't know.
Well, Biden's talking about, I don't know how this can happen, but he's talking about eliminating the filibuster in the case of codifying Roe v. Wade. But it's still, I mean, I don't know.
Hey, I mean, the last president basically tried to fucking rule the country. So, I mean, whatever, Biden.
Yeah, but he's
get it done.
He's a Democrat.
But yeah.
What planet are you living on? He's
I
a
know.
fucking Democrat. I don't care how you feel about him. He's a fucking Democrat. He still thinks it's 1975 and that these people are reasonable.
Democrats and Republicans in 100 years will go the way of the Whigs and the Federalists.
There's going to be one party, and no, there won't really be any
Maybe
parties.
we'll get our
We're gonna have a
Star Trek.
dictator.
Do we get our Star Trek? Can we please have our utopian Star Trek society? It looks pretty good to me. So,
For reasons, this is a pivotal moment for the Supreme Court. Oh, honey, you have no idea. To issue a corrective and show that here, too, the arc of the moral universe may be long, but is foretold by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It bends toward justice, and that includes the protection of girls. Well, it's a hell of an arc.
and dude, in the end, it's easy killing fascists, Nazis, and pedophiles. It's easy. It doesn't matter. Wherein lies the rub is who gets labeled and why.
Fascists and Nazis frequently are very
But
open.
but
Pedophiles
they like
no.
the Republicans have labeled us as fascists.
And pedophiles.
So it's like, all right, I'll play a game because I'm the J Tyler.
I'm your Miss Parker.
We'll be back in a moment.
With Florida Man.
Is
Is nothing yet live.
Sorry, I did it too quick.
Don't worry about it.
Not yet.
I'm used to my
Not yet,
75%.
Not yet. Hey, everybody. I wanted to take 35% more for 75%. I am the J Tyler. This is nothing.
I don't
yet
get to
live.
say it again
No,
because
you don't.
I've
No,
more
bye.
than taken up my
Nah,
75%.